Hello everyone, today we will discuss define a species, define species, 4 marks, very important question, define species. So, the first scientist John Ray first time used species, scientist John Ray. So, the species name first time used the scientist name John Ray. First time used species. Next one, so the Linnaeus, another scientist Linnaeus. So, the species is the basic unit of the classification. So, they are the species is the basic unit of classification. Species is the basic unit of species is the basic unit of classification. The Linnaeus. So, the species is the basic unit of classification. Classification means kingdom, phylum, subphylum, class, subclass, order and genus. So, they are the classification. So, the species is a basic unit of classification. So, the species are the basic unit of the classification. Next one, so the explain that species is an inbreeding group of similar individuals. Species are the explained inbreeding group of similar individuals. So, they are the group of the similar individuals sharing the common gene pool. Next one, so they are the producing fertile offspring. Producing fertile offspring. Next one, species is a group of individuals. So, they are the introduction of the defined species. So, the first time the species name used the scientist John Ray, first time used species. Next one, Linnaeus. So, the basic concept. So, they are the species are the basic unit of classification. So, the basic unit of classification. So, species are the basic unit of classification. Next one, so these defined species explain. So, they are the inbreeding group of similar individuals. And sharing the common gene pool. Next one, producing the fertile offspring. Means producing the childs. Next one, so they are the group of species is a group of similar individuals. So, next one, so they are the reproductively isolated from the individuals of another species. Reproductively so they are the reproductively isolated from the individuals of another species. So, these are called as breeding unit, a breeding unit. So they are the first one. So they are the reproductively isolated from the individuals of another species. Reproductively isolated from the individuals of another species. So they are called as a breeding unit. So reproductively same from the another species. So they are the one species. So they are the another species. So these species are the reproductively same. So they are reproductively similar means same. So these species are the reproductively similar of the another species. So they are the one species. So they are the another species. These two species are the reproductively same. So that type is called as breeding unit. That type of species is called as breeding unit. So the reproductively isolated from the individuals of another species, reproductively same from the one species to another species. So they are called as breeding unit. Next one, sharing the same ecological niche. Second one, sharing the same ecological niche. Sharing the same ecological niche. So they are called as an ecological unit. Is called as ecological unit. An ecological unit. So they are called as an ecological unit. Ecological unit means sharing the same ecological niche. Means so they are the living the same place. Sharing the same ecological niche. So they are called as ecological unit. Next one, so they are the showing the similarity in the karyotype. Showing the same karyotype. So showing the similarity in the karyotype. Showing the similarity in the karyotype. So the sharing the similarity in the karyotype. So these are called as genetic unit. So they are called as genetic unit. Is called as genetic unit. So genetic unit means so they are showing the similarity in the karyotype. Karyotype means externally, genetically means internally. So the phenotype and karyotype. Phenotype means internal, karyotype means externally. So they are the externally showing the similarity. So they are called as genetic unit. Externally showing the similarity. So they are called as genetic unit. Next one, last one. So they are the structurally and functionally characteristics are the same, having a similar structure and function. Showing similar structure and function. So the showing the similar structure and functional. So they are called as an ecological unit. Is called as these are called as an evolutionary unit. Is called as an evolutionary unit. Is called as an evolutionary unit. Is called as an evolutionary unit. So they are called as defined species. So defined species means first one. So the reproductively isolated from the one species to the another species. Reproductively same from the one species to the another species. So they are called as a breeding unit. Is called as a breeding unit. Next one, sharing the same ecological niche. So the saving the same area. So they are called as An ecological unit is called as an ecological unit. Next one, third one, showing a similarity in the karyotype. So the karyotype is same, so they are called as a genetic unit and genetic unit. Next one, fourth one, showing a similar structure and functional. So they are the similar species are the similar structure and similar function. So they are called as an evolutionary unit. Evolutionary unit. So they are the defined species. Next one, insight conservation. Next one, insight conservation. Next one, insight conservation. So the insight conservation means, so they are the minimally disturbed species. So they are the disturbed species. So they identify the disturbed species. So they are protecting to the natural habitat. So they are the minimally disturbed species are they identify, that species are the natural habitat of the protection. So they are called as insight conservation. Insight conservation means, insight conservation is the process of protecting an animal species. Insight conservation means process of protecting of protection of species. So insight conservation means, so it is a process of protecting of species of the natural habitats. Species of the natural habitats. Natural habitats. Natural habitats. So the insight conservation means, so there it is the process of protecting of species, protecting of the species of the natural habitat. Natural habitat means, for example, in this time many species are the extinct. Many species are the extinct. So that species are the identify, that species are the protection. So the increasing of the species population. So this main intention. So they are increasing of the species population. Species population. So these insight conservation. So they are the protecting areas are the 4 types. Protecting areas are the 4 types. First one, biosphere reservoirs. First one, biosphere. First one, biosphere reservoir. First one, biosphere reservoir. First one, biosphere reservoir. Second one, national parks. National parks. National parks. Third one, sanctuaries. Sanctuaries. Fourth one, sacred groves. Sacred groves. So they are the 4 types of these 4 types of the protecting of the affected species: biosphere reservoir, national parks, sanctuaries, and sacred groves. Sacred groves. First one, biosphere reservoir. First one, biosphere reservoir. Just example. So they are the one area. So this area presenting on the species. So they are the many species. So these species are the minimally disturbed for the human beings. So they are the minimally disturbed from the human beings. So this area is identified. So they are the protecting the natural habitat, protecting the natural habitat. An area which is assigned minimally disturbed. Minimally disturbed, he is selected. Minimally disturbed, he is selected. So that species are the protection. So minimally disturbed species are the identified, that species are the protection. So they are the conversion of the resource of the biosphere. So they are called as biosphere reservoir. So the minimally disturbed areas are the identified, that identified area is, so they are the converting to the biosphere reservoir, converted to the biosphere reservoir. So they are the latest biosphere reservoir in India. So they are called as Seshasalam Hills. Seshasalam Hills. Seshasalam. Seshachalam Hills. So, the Seshachalam Hills, so that area is biosphere reservoir. So, that area the animals are the protection. So, they are called as biosphere reservoir. Next one, national parks. Next one, national parks. So, these national parks main intention, so they are the extant species are the identified, that species are the protecting to the parks. So, that species are the surviving to the parks. So, they are called as national parks. National parks. Example, Jim Corbett National Park and Jim Corbett National Park. Example, Jim Corbett National Park. Jim Corbett National Park. Jim Corbett National Park. So, they are the one of the park, Jim Corbett National Park. Next one, sanctuaries. Next one, sanctuaries. So, the sanctuaries means, so they are the, so these sanctuaries are the dangerous species. So, and dangerous species. They are identify the dangerous species. So, that species are the protecting areas. So, they are called as sanctuaries. These are called as sanctuaries means species and endangered funnel species. Endangered funnel species are identified. That species are the protection. So, they are called as sanctuaries. Is called as sanctuaries. Example, Kaziranga sanctuary, Karinga sanctuary. So, they are called as example. So, they are the Koringa sanctuary. Example, Koringa sanctuary. Koringa sanctuary. Next one, last one, sacred groves. Last one, sacred groves. So, the sacred groves means, so they are the small trees, so protecting from the small trees, protecting from the small trees. So, they are called as sacred groves. They are called as sacred groves. Sacred groves means, so a group of smaller than the forest, a group of smaller than the forest. So, they are called as sacred groves. So, these sacred groves, they are protecting to the plants, special plants, special type of the plants, like they are the protecting to the plants. So, their example, Kasi and Janata Hills. Example, Kasi and Janata Hills. Example, Kasi and Janata Hills. Janata Hills. So, they are the inside conservation. Inside conservation means they are protecting of the natural habitat of species. So, they are the damaged species, extinct species, disturbed species. So, they are the identify that species are protection. So, they are called as inside conservation.